Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Go Premanande. Jaya Om Vishnupada Namamsa Rasikacharya. Astotra Sota Shishimadesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Rasikacharya Astotra Shishimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Prabhupada ki. Grantarat Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki. Go Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
We are reading today from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 55. Tulayama lavenapi. Please repeat after me. Tulayama lavenapi.
Tulayama lavenapi.
Nasvargam na punarbhavam.
Nasargam na punarbhavam.
Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya.
Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya.
Martyanam kim utashisha.
Martyanam kim utashisha.
Tulayama lavenapi.
Tulayama lavenapi.
Nasvargam na punarbhavam.
Nasargam na punarbhavam.
Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya.
Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya.
Martyanam kim utashisha.
Martyanam kim utashisha.
Tulayama lavenapi.
Tulayama lavenapi.
Nasvargam na punarbhavam.
Nasargam na punarbhavam.
Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya.
Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya.
Martyanam kimuta shishaha.
Martyanam kim utashisha. Prabhuji.
Tulayama lavanapi.
Tulayama lavenapi.
Nasargayam na purnabhavam.
Nasvargam na punarbhavam.
Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya.
Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya.
Martayanam kim utashisha.
Martyanam kim udashisha. Ashami. Tulayama lavenapi. Nasvargam punarbhavam.
Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya.
Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya.
Madhyanam Kimutashisha.
Martyanam kim utashisha.
Tulayama.
Tulayana.
We make equal.
Medivya.
Lavena
Lavena.
with one instant.
Even.
Api even. No, not na,
Na.
not.
Na.
Svargam,
Sargam.
heavenly planet.
Heavenly planet.
Na,
Na.
nor.
Na.
Apuna bhavam,
Apuna bhavam.
merging into the existence of the Supreme.
Existence of the Supreme.
Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya,
Bhagavat Sangi
Sangasya.
of the association of devotees who are always associated with the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Association.
Of the association of devotees
After association of devotees
who are always associated
who are always associated
with the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
With the Supreme Personality of God.
Martyanam,
Madhyanam.
of persons destined to die.
Of persons destined to die.
Kim uta,
Kimutha.
what to speak,
What to speak.
what to speak of.
What to speak of.
speak of
Ashishaha, the blessings. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The value of a moment's association with a devotee of the Lord cannot be compared even to the attainment of the heavenly planets or liberation from matter, and what to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which is for those who are meant for death. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:18-13. This verse concerns the Vedic rites and sacrifices performed by the great sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunaka Rishi. The sages pointed out that association with a devotee for even less than a second is beyond comparison to 1,000 Vedic rituals or sacrifices, elevation to the heavenly planets, or merging into the existence of the Supreme. Aham Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Chakatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavanishvari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak on this very sacred and auspicious day of the Ratha Yatra. And please give me your blessings that I may say something useful. I would like to repeat the verse. The value of a moment's association with a devotee of the Lord cannot be compared even to the attainment of the heavenly planets or liberation from matter, and what to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which is for those who are meant for death. Hare Krishna. This verse is a very special, a very important verse. It is the emperor verse of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. This verse appears twice in the Bhagavatam. First, it appears in the first chapter, where the sages of Naimisharanya are glorifying Sutta Goswami, the speaker. And the second time it appears in the 4th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, where the Prachetas are praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who directly appeared in front of them. And the third time this verse appears, word for word, is here in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila. So we can understand this verse is very, very important. It is called the Paribhasa Sutra of the Srimad Bhagavatam, of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. Every scripture has its Paribhasa Sutra. And this verse is the Paribhasa Sutra of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. So, do you think elevation to the heavenly planets is something to be achieved? It's insignificant. Or liberation from matter, from sufferings from this material world, insignificant. If we compare these benedictions to a moment of association with a devotee of the Lord. Whatever we can attain in this material world, riches, glory, fame, whatever it may be, has no value if we compare it with the association, with a moment of association with a devotee. Because the association with a devotee can change our life. In one spot, can change our life. If we look back to our own life, then let's reflect. At some point in our life, we got the association of a devotee. And everything changed. Our values changed. Our desires changed. Our relationships changed. Everything changed. Just this one moment of association. The devotees are sometimes compared with the agents of Vamanadev. We remember Vamanadev came into the assembly of Bali Maharaj. Just give me 3 steps of land. I don't want much. Just 3 steps. And boom, he took over everything. So the devotees, they come into our life. You don't have to change. Very little. Just add. And so, by the time, so much adding, that this is spiritual mathematics. We added so much that nothing else is left. It's interesting. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his Sarata Darshini, he comments on this verse and he compares it with the opposite of spiritual association. The opposite of spiritual association. Chakravartipati says, man is like butter and woman is like fire. Butter is good, fire is good. But when butter and fire associate, the heart melts. An explosion. Very dangerous. So therefore, the Vedic scriptures, they say to be careful to restrict the association with the opposite gender and to regulate, because it's very dangerous. But then Chakravartipati goes on to say, what is more dangerous than the association with the opposite gender? What is more dangerous than the association with the opposite gender?
The association with people who are attracted to the opposite gender.
Right. The association with people who are attached to the opposite gender. It's more dangerous. Because their desire will enter into our heart and become, and our heart and our mind, and become our desires. So, by all means, we have to avoid to associate with people who are attached to the opposite gender. And then Chakravartipati goes on to say, what the association with Krishna is very dangerous. Even Rupa Goswami says, if you are still attached to family, friends, love, and society, don't look at Krishna, who is standing on the banks of Yamuna, playing his flute in his tree-bending form. But what is more dangerous? If your eyes, Krishna's eyes and your eyes, meet, you may forget everything. Whatever it may be, you forget everything. But what is more dangerous than the association with Krishna?
Yes.
Steal everything.
The association with pure devotees who are very attached.
The association with devotees who are attached to Krishna. Of course, Krishna says, do it, associate. It's not that. It's dangerous. It's dangerous for material life, but for spiritual advancement and to develop love of Godhead, it's necessary, absolutely. So that's because the devotees of Krishna will plant their desire to serve Krishna, to love Krishna in your heart. So you become attached. So this is very significant, what Chakravartipati is saying here. And this is very conducive. So, association with the devotees of Krishna is the most precious gift. And today is a very auspicious day because the devotees of Krishna will go out to see the people. God himself, in the form of Jagannath, will go out to give darshan. So what is the chance for normal people to have the association of devotees, to have the association of God, and to become, for this moment of association, the spirit of love of Godhead, to realize their actual purpose. Usually people, they don't come to the temple. Most of them, 99%. Why should they? But still they are not happy. They are searching for something. So devotees have to be out to give them a chance to associate with them and to give them the glory of Krishna consciousness, of association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We have to imagine that there are different kinds of surrender. Actually, 3 kinds of surrender. Like, these are described in the Bhagavad Gita in 2.7. We all know 2.7, where Arjuna is completely bewildered, is completely in a depressive state. He don't know how to overcome this depression. So he turns to Krishna, that he become his teacher. He says, "Now I am a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me." So Krishna takes the role of a teacher. Of course, afterwards he takes the role of a friend again. But in this very important situation, he takes the role of a teacher. And what is the kind of surrender of Arjuna? He says, "I am a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me." And a few verses later he says, "I don't fight. You instruct me, but you have to know, I don't fight." So Krishna is smiling, is laughing about this kind of surrender of Arjuna. But this is already surrender, it's a stage of surrender. These are progressive states of surrender. Because Arjuna is turning to Krishna himself for shelter, for guidance. And if somebody is turning to a devotee for answers, for shelter, for giving them an advice, this is already surrender. This is, we can say, the lowest kind of surrender. Higher than that is described in Bhagavad Gita 7.14. Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya tarateya mameva ye prapatyante mayametam tarantite. Krishna himself says, this Maya is actually, nobody can overcome Maya. But you can easily cross beyond it if you surrender unto me. That means that kind of surrender implies that we are following the process. We are following the process of devotional service. We start chanting, we follow the regulative principles. We are doing all these kind of things in order to please Krishna, because we know that's the only way. So this is the second kind of surrender. We know that to cross over the material ocean of the ocean of material existence, we have to follow a process, and daily we have to chant daily. We have to do all that daily, you know. So this is sadhana bhakti, and higher than that is Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam raja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma sucha. Complete surrender. To follow the will of Krishna. Like the Brijbasis. Vraja actually means Vrindavan. But the etymological meaning of the word Vraja is to walk. So the Brajavasis, they walk with the desire of Krishna. They walk with the will of Krishna. And therefore, there is nothing else to do. So this is the actual meaning of surrender. To follow the will of Krishna. To do whatever he likes. And in that way to become one in the sense of to become one with the goal of Krishna. So this is what Ratha Yatra is also. Krishna is coming down, is going out to show the greatness of the devotees. I think Jiva Goswami says, I read about Krishna and it was amazing. But when I read about the devotees and about the exchange the devotees have with Krishna, it actually touched me very much, my heart. So this is very high. Ratha Yatra to understand. We understand that Krishna with his sister Subhadra and his brother Balaram, they went in a chariot to Kurukshetra. It was a solar eclipse, and people in India used to go to Kurukshetra at the solar eclipse. So everybody was gathering there at Kurukshetra because it is a very holy place. All the inhabitants of Vrindavan came to Kurukshetra to see Krishna. And Radharani, she said to Krishna, you are the same Krishna, I am the same Radharani, but this is not the same place we used to be. You are dressed very opulently, you are wearing a crown, you are dressed very... please come back to Vrindavan. So the pulling of the chariot is the way to pull Krishna back to Vrindavan, to pull Krishna back to our heart. Because we somehow or other, we fell in this material world and we left Krishna, and we have to get back Krishna. So if we are understanding the meaning of Ratha Yatra, it is very deep how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes down in this world to become a devotee, to show us how to cry for Krishna. Everybody is crying for something, you know. In the material world, we cry about something went wrong with our relationship, or something went wrong with our job, or with whatever. We are crying. It is said that if we take all the tears who were shed for material things, family, love, friendship, society, whatever, it could fill an ocean. It could fill up an ocean. And devotees, if you come to spiritual life, devotees are also crying. They are crying out of separation for Krishna. Because the devotee understands, I have left Krishna, and now I want to go back to Krishna. I want to have him back. And when we develop love for Krishna, we are also crying, but these are tears of joy. So they say, if you find a theology in which the devotee cries for God, you can understand this is advanced. If you find a theology where God cries for his devotee, you can understand this is even more advanced. And if you find a theology where God becomes a devotee to cry for himself, you can understand this is off the scale. This is Gaudiya philosophy. This is Vraja Prem. This is the 10th canto. So this Madhurya, this sweetness of Krishna completely covers his Aishwarya. Of course we see Krishna does many inconceivable things, like the killing of Putana or whatever, you know. Even, you know, if Mother Yashoda is looking into Krishna's mouth to see the whole universe, she was astonished. She was completely bewildered. And he said, oh, this Krishna, all the sages and rishis and demigods are praying to Lord Krishna. But anyway, he's my child. He's my Krishna. So this is the highest state of love. So we can see that although his Aishwarya is manifested in many forms, he never changes his form. He's still the small Krishna. But his Madhurya completely covers his Aishwarya. This is the energy. We can understand that to cover something, this covering has to be a little greater than the something we want to cover. So that's the energy of Krishna. That's Yoga Maya. That's how Krishna is interacting with his devotees, because God is Vibhu and we are infinitesimal. We are very small. So how can we expect to have a relationship with Krishna? Jai Shri Gonitai, Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. And this is Yoga Maya doing. She is covering the Aishwarya, and she gives us the opportunity to to be with Krishna in a relationship. Otherwise, it would not be possible. How can the biggest have a relationship with the smallest? So this is Yoga Maya, making possible that exchange. So that means the sweetness of Krishna is completely overpowering his Aishwarya and makes the love to Krishna even stronger. Oh, I lose myself. Today is also the disappearance day of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a great Vaishnava. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is often called as the seventh Goswami. You know, there are 6 Goswamis, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur is often called the 7th Goswami. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the father of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. And his guru is Jagannath Das Babaji, although he wasn't his Diksha guru, he was his Shiksha guru. And yeah, we see on the altar also Gorkishore Das Babaji, the guru of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur also took Babaji initiation from Gorkishore Das Babaji. So, if we want to know something about the glories of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we have to understand the time where he was born in. After the Leelas of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disappeared, everything was flooded from the Ganges, and everything was changing. The places where all the Leelas took place were lost, and also the whole Gaudiya philosophy become lost. So, therefore, it is very significant. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was born on the 2nd of September 1838 in Nadia, Birnagar, Nadia, West Bengal. He was the 3rd son of Ananda Chandra Datta and his wife Jagat Mohini Devi. And he became the name Kedaranath. It is the name of Shiva. And when he was 12 years old, his mother arranged his marriage with a 5-year-old girl named Shayamani. She was the daughter of Madhusudan Mahashai, and she was hoping from this relation a better financial situation. Although they didn't want to live together from that age, but they were married in a Vedic ceremony. So, yeah. After he went to his uncle, where he got entrance in the literary circles of Calcutta. And at the end of the year 1861, his wife, at this time only 16 years old, she became suddenly very sick, and soon after she died. So she left Bhaktivinoda Thakur with a child, with a small child. So that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur, 3 months after the disappearance of his wife, he was married another girl named Lalita, daughter of Ganyamanya Rai from Jagpur. She was very peaceful and has a very sober character. And later on she became known as Bhagavati Devi, a very serious Vaishnavi, and she helped her husband very much. And he was very fond of making all his prayers, and he wrote a lot. And then he became a Richter. What is Richter? A judge. He became a judge. And in the year of 1868, he became first time in contact through a teacher, a friend of him, with the actual Vaishnava philosophy, because he got a Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. Before he heard about that, but he never had something in his hand. So he was overwhelmed by the theological insights he got from these books. And he was a very good speaker. He could even catch the minds of people and become very well known. And slowly the thinking were changing, everything changed because of him. And then he moved a few times, and then he moved to Jagannath Puri. And in the year 1872, he got the job of, there was one sadhu, a yogi named Bishikishena, who declared himself the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this yogi was living in the jungle near Bhubaneswar, and he even had a temple for his own worship. He had incredible, he could do incredible things. Through very austere lifestyle, he could do some things which are very incredible. He could lean into a fire without being burned. And he could read the minds of other people. And even he could, people who are sick, he could heal people. Or he could put fire come out of his head. All that stuff. And he also declared that he will prove the whole world that he is the actual enjoyer of all the women. He would make a rasa dance. So this is very severe. So the Thakur arrested him, even though the yogi tried through all kinds of tricks to impress him. But he wasn't impressed by his. Even fire came out of his head and all that stuff. And every day this yogi was in the court for hurt. And I think at the third day or something, he was very angry, and he verflucht. When he come home, Thakur, his 7-year-old daughter was very sick. She lost consciousness all the time. Although several doctors take care of her, and even Bhagavati, his wife, was pleading with the Thakur, please let him go, let the yogi go, because maybe our daughter will die. But he didn't let him free. And then he himself, when the final judgment was said, he himself became very, very sick. He couldn't walk anymore. He had to be carried by a palanquin to the judge, to the house, and he verurteilt. He spoke his final judgment. Prison, about a few years prison, And then he said to his helpers, please cut his hair, because he knew the whole strength of the yogis were in his hair. So as soon as the hair was cut, the yogi fell to the ground. He was unable to do even one step. So after 3 months in the prison of Puri, this yogi took poison to poison himself. So he became very famous. The Thakur became very famous. Even he had something with the king who took 8,000 gold coins. So, and he was so the Thakur, he was. The judgment was he has to feed 52 times Bhoga to Jagannath. Up to his whole money was finished. Yeah, like that. And he had a very severe, austere schedule. He only slept like 3.5 hours a day. He slept from 8 o'clock evening till 10 o'clock. And then he stood up and he was writing till 4 o'clock. And then japa meditation, correspondence, studying of the scriptures. Yeah, like that. He was very, very austere. And in his work, he was very, 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 very fast. From 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock afternoon, he was judging about 30 to 50 cases. And for writing the necessary judgment, everything, only 2 minutes. Yeah. and he wrote a lot of books. I read once he had 3 daughters and 7 sons. And once he said, when he come home from work and he enters his Grihastha ashram, it's like the whole spiritual world is opening in front of his eyes. That's how his lifestyle was performed. At home, he entered into the spiritual world, although he had 10 children. I mean, that's pretty. And in 1874, the 4th son was born, Bimal Prasad, who became Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he was also searching the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And once he was sitting for doing his japa, and then he saw a light in the field somewhere. He saw a light, and he knew this must be the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then he went and he spoke with the people there, and this place was known as Sri Mayapur. So, and the people said, yeah, there is always light and some noises, and they had very respect from that place. And in the middle of these rice fields, and so he decided to go with his spiritual master Jagannath Das Babaji to see that place. And Jagannath Das Babaji, at this time, he was already 120 years old. And he was very sick, and he couldn't lift up his eyes because of these lids were very heavy and so he couldn't move his eyelids. So he was carried in a basket, and then it was very difficult to reach the place where this light came from. And then Jagannath Das Babaji, as soon as he was there, he could understand this is the place, the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was jumping out of his basket, and he was chanting and dancing and crying and chanting the names of God. He was completely, in 1 minute before he couldn't move, and then he was chanting and dancing. And this place, nothing else than the tulasi was growing in this place. Yeah, so very glorious. So the Thakur, he collected single-handedly, practically, to make a temple, Yoga Pit, on his birthplace, on the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he was going from door to door, begging for some donation for the temple. So in 1908 he ended his Grihastha ashram, his Grihastha life, and he took Babaji initiation from Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji. Yeah. So that's basically the wonder of Gaur-Kishore Das Babaji, of Bhaktivinoda Thakur.